villain scrub. You're just a servant, and you'll never be part of this family." These were the words screamed by Victoria as she poured expensive red wine onto the white marble floor. She looked down at the woman in the maid's uniform with pure disgust, never imagining that this servant was actually the owner of the very empire that kept her family's lights on. Before we dive into this incredible story of hidden identity and ultimate justice, we want to get to know you better. Who are you, and where are you watching us from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. And if you love stories where the underdog gets their revenge, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button right now to help us bring you more amazing content. Elena was a woman who had everything: intelligence, beauty, and a net worth that most people couldn't even dream of. She sat at the top of a tech empire, managing thousands of employees and making million-dollar decisions before her morning coffee. Yet, despite her success, her heart felt empty because she couldn't find someone who loved her for her soul, not her bank account. She had been dating Marcus for 6 months, a man who seemed charming and kind, but she always felt a lingering doubt. Did he love Elena the woman, or Elena the billionaire? To find the truth, she decided to perform the ultimate test, stepping away from her luxury penthouse and trading her designer suits for a simple cheap maid's uniform. Elena told Marcus that her company had gone bankrupt and she had lost everything, including her home and her savings. She watched his face closely as she spoke, looking for a sign of support. Marcus looked shocked and slightly disappointed, but he offered her a job as a live-in maid at his family's massive estate, claiming it was the only way they could stay together for now. When Elena arrived at the gates of the mansion, she wasn't greeted with open arms. Instead, she was met by Victoria, Marcus's mother, a woman who treated anyone beneath her tax bracket like a piece of dirt on her shoe. Victoria looked at Elena's dark skin and simple clothes and immediately decided that this woman was a threat to her family's reputation. Victoria didn't know that Elena had actually purchased the debt of the family business just a week prior to save them from ruin. To Victoria, Elena was just another gold digger from the streets who had somehow tricked her son into a relationship. She made it her personal mission to make Elena's life a living hell until she ran away. The work was grueling, and it was designed to be that way. Elena was forced to wake up at 4 in the morning to scrub the entire kitchen floor with nothing but a small brush. Victoria would follow behind her, intentionally tracking mud across the wet tiles just to watch Elena do the work all over again without a word of complaint. Elena watched Marcus during these moments, hoping he would say something to his mother, but Marcus was a coward. He would walk through the room, see Elena on her hands and knees, and simply look the other way. He was more afraid of losing his inheritance than he was of seeing the woman he loved being treated like a slave. Day after day, the abuse escalated. Victoria began to serve Elena the leftovers from the dog's bowls, claiming that expensive food is for those who contribute to society. Elena stayed silent, her eyes focused on the floor, documenting every insult and every act of cruelty in her mind. She was seeing the true colors of the people she almost called family. Victoria began to invite other wealthy families over, openly discussing Marcus's future marriage to a proper heiress while Elena served them tea. They talked about Elena as if she weren't in the room, making jokes about her hair and her background. Marcus sat there, laughing along with them, desperate to fit into the world of the elite. One evening, Marcus came to Elena's small, cold room in the servants' quarters. He told her that he still loved her, but that she needed to understand his mother's position. He asked her to just endure it for a little longer, promising that things would change once they were married. But Elena saw the lie in his eyes. He had no intention of marrying a maid. The turning point came when Victoria announced a grand gala to celebrate the saving of their family company. She didn't realize that the mysterious benefactor who had signed the papers was Elena. Victoria told Elena that she would be the lead server for the night, but she had to wear a sign that said, "In training," to remind everyone of her low status. On the night of the gala, the mansion was filled with the most powerful people in the city. Elena worked tirelessly, carrying heavy trays of champagne through the crowd. She saw people she had done business with in her real life, but in her maid's uniform and without her usual poise, they didn't even recognize the tech titan standing before them. Victoria was in her element, bragging about her family's resilience and their superior business instincts. She spotted Elena near a group of prestigious investors and decided to put on a show. She intentionally tripped Elena, causing a tray of crystal glasses to shatter across the floor, the sound echoing through the silent ballroom. "You clumsy, useless girl!" Victoria screamed, her voice reaching every corner of the room. She grabbed a bottle of red wine and poured it slowly over Elena's head, the dark liquid staining the white uniform. "Look at you! You are nothing but a stain on this house. Clean this up with your bare hands right now." Elena sat on the floor, the cold wine dripping from her hair. She looked at Marcus, who was standing just 5 feet away. She waited for him to step forward, to give her a hand, to defend her dignity. Instead, Marcus stepped back, avoiding the wine stain on his expensive shoes, and told her to just do what Mother says and stop causing a scene. At that moment, the Elena who was testing them died, and the CEO Elena was reborn. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She slowly stood up, ignoring the glass shards near her knees. She wiped the wine from her eyes and looked Victoria dead in the face with a stare so cold it could freeze the sun. "I hope you enjoyed that, Victoria," Elena said, her voice calm and steady, projecting across the entire hall. "Because that bottle of wine costs more than you will have in your bank account by tomorrow morning." The guests whispered in confusion, wondering why a maid was speaking with such authority to her employer. Victoria laughed hysterically, calling for security to throw the madwoman out. But before the guards could move, the massive front doors of the mansion swung open. A man in a sharp-tailored suit walked in, followed by 4 high-level security agents in dark glasses. It was Arthur, Elena's right-hand man and chief legal counsel. Arthur didn't look at Victoria or Marcus. He walked straight to Elena, bowed deeply, and handed her a silk cloth to wipe her face. "Ms. Elena," he said loudly, "the board of directors is waiting for your final decision on the acquisition. And your car is waiting outside. We should leave this place." "It's beneath you." The room went dead silent. Victoria's face turned a ghostly shade of white. "Ms. Elena?" She stammered, looking from the maid to the lawyer. "There must be some mistake. This is just a poor girl my son found on the street. She's a failed waitress and nobody." Arthur turned to Victoria, his expression full of pity. "This nobody is the founder of Global Tech Industries. She's the woman who signed the check that prevented your home from being foreclosed last week. And she is also the woman who just decided to cancel that check." Elena took the silk cloth and wiped the wine from her arms. She looked at the guests, many of whom were now bowing their heads in respect, recognizing her from the covers of business magazines. She then turned her attention to Marcus, who looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. "You said you loved me, Marcus," Elena said, stepping closer to him. "But you were ashamed of me the moment you thought I had nothing. You watched your mother treat me like an animal, and you did nothing. A man who won't protect his woman when she's down doesn't deserve her when she's up." Marcus tried to grab her hand, his voice shaking. "Elena, baby, I didn't know. I was just trying to keep the peace until we could be together. Please, you can't do this to us. My family needs that investment. I love you. I've always loved you." Elena pulled her hand away as if his touch was toxic. "You don't love me. You love the idea of comfort. And as for your mother," Elena turned to Victoria, who was now trembling, realizing the magnitude of her mistake. "Victoria, you wanted me to clean the floors? Well, you'll have plenty of time to practice that yourself. Arthur," Elena commanded, "proceed with the immediate withdrawal of all funds. Foreclose on this property by Monday. Since they find the working class so distasteful, let's see how they enjoy joining their ranks without a penny to their names." Victoria fell to her knees, the very position she had forced Elena into just moments ago. "Please, Miss Elena, I was wrong." I'll do anything. I'll apologize publicly. Don't take our home. We have nowhere else to go." She was sobbing now, her expensive makeup running down her face in dark streaks. Elena didn't feel a shred of pity. She knew that if she had actually been a poor maid, Victoria would have continued the abuse forever. The world is a small place, Victoria. You should be careful who you kick on your way up, because you're going to pass them all on your way down. Elena walked toward the door, her head held high. As she passed the group of wealthy heiresses who had mocked her hair, they scurried away like frightened mice. She paused at the threshold, looking back at the wreckage of the family she almost joined. "Oh, and Marcus," she added, "the engagement is off. You can keep the ring I bought for myself, pawn it. You're going to need the money for a deposit on a very small apartment. Maybe you can find a job as a waiter. I hear they're hiring at the cafe where we met." She stepped out into the night, the cool air refreshing against her skin. Arthur opened the door to her luxury limousine, and as she sat inside, she felt a massive weight lift off her shoulders. She had lost a fiancé, but she had gained her self-respect back, and she had learned a lesson she would never forget. Inside the mansion, the gala turned into a funeral. The guests, realizing the family was now toxic and bankrupt, began to leave in droves. No one wanted to be associated with the people who had insulted the most powerful woman in the industry. Within an hour, Victoria and Marcus were alone in their echoing hall. Victoria looked at her son with pure hatred, blaming him for bringing Elena into their lives, while Marcus sat on the wine-stained floor, realizing he had thrown away the greatest woman he would ever meet for a pride that was now worth nothing. Elena returned to her office the next morning, but she was a different leader. She established a foundation to protect service workers from workplace abuse and doubled the wages of every member of her own household staff. She knew now, more than ever, that true character is revealed by how you treat those who can do absolutely nothing for you. Months later, as Elena was driven through the city, she saw a familiar face at a bus stop. It was Victoria, wearing old, faded clothes and carrying a heavy bag of groceries. She looked tired and broken. Elena didn't stop the car, but she did make a silent vow to always stay humble and always keep her eyes open. The story of the billionaire maid became a legend in the city, a cautionary tale for the arrogant and a beacon of hope for those who feel invisible. Elena eventually found a man who loved her for her mind and her heart, a man she met while volunteering at a local shelter, who had no idea who she was until a year into their relationship. This time, there was no test needed. Because when you are truly a queen, you don't need a crown to be recognized by those who have a noble heart. Elena's empire continued to grow, but her greatest success was the peace she felt knowing she was surrounded by people who were real. The lesson here is simple. Never judge a book by its cover, and never treat someone poorly because of their job title. You never know when the person cleaning your floors might be the one who owns the building. We hope you enjoyed this story of justice and true love. It serves as a powerful reminder that money can buy a house, but it can't buy class or character. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a big thumbs up. Your support helps us share these important lessons with the world. Let us know in the comments what you would have done if you were in Elena's shoes. Would you have forgiven Marcus, or would you have walked away just like she did? We love reading your perspectives. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of our community. Stay tuned for our next video, where we bring you more stories of mystery, drama, and life-changing reveals. Until next time, remember to treat everyone with kindness. You never know who they might really be. Elena's journey taught her that her wealth was a tool, not a shield. She continued to use her influence to break down barriers, ensuring that no one in her presence would ever be humiliated for their background again. She became a mentor to many, teaching them that their value is inherent, not bank-dependent. Marcus eventually moved to another state, unable to bear the shame of his public downfall. He worked a series of low-paying jobs, and every time he saw a maid or a server, he was reminded of the woman he let slip through his fingers. It was a ghost that followed him for the rest of his life. Victoria, on the other hand, never quite learned her lesson. She spent her days complaining to anyone who would listen about how she was cheated out of her fortune. But since she had burned all her bridges with her arrogance, she had very few people left to listen to her stories. This story reminds us that the universe has a way of balancing the scales. When you act with cruelty, it eventually finds its way back to you. And when you act with integrity, even in the face of hardship, you will always come out on top. Elena often thought back to that night at the gala, not with sadness, but with a sense of triumph. It was the night she truly discovered her own strength. She realized she didn't need the validation of a noble family to be a person of worth. She transformed her company's culture to focus on empathy and respect. "We are all humans first, and employees second," became the company's motto. This shift in perspective led to record-breaking productivity and a loyalty among her staff that was unheard of in the tech world. People started calling it the Elena effect. It was the idea that kindness is the most valuable currency in any economy. She became a sought-after speaker, traveling the world to tell her story, not about her billions, but about her time as a maid. She would tell audiences, "The uniform didn't change me. It changed how others saw me." And that told me everything I needed to know about them. It was a message that resonated with millions of people who felt overlooked in their daily lives. Her foundation for service workers grew into an international organization. They provided legal aid, education, and emergency funds for those being exploited by powerful employers. Elena was no longer just a CEO. She was a champion for the voiceless. In the end, Elena's life was fuller than she ever imagined. She had a family built on trust, a career built on purpose, and a legacy built on the belief that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. As the sun set over the city she helped build, Elena would often look out from her balcony and smile. She knew she had passed the hardest test of all, the test of her own character, and she had passed it with flying colors. Thank you for following Elena's path with us today. If you've ever felt underestimated or treated unfairly, let this story be your inspiration to keep going. Your time to shine will come, just like it did for her. Make sure you've clicked that notification bell so you never miss an update from us. We have so many more stories of courage and transformation to share with you. Each one is designed to make you think, feel, and grow. Tell us, have you ever met someone who turned out to be completely different from what you expected? We want to hear your real-life hidden identity stories in the comments section. The world needs more empathy and less judgment. By sharing this video, you're helping spread a message of equality and respect. Let's make the world a place where no one has to hide who they are to find real love. We appreciate every single one of you who watches our videos to the end. You are the reason we do what we do. Your engagement helps our channel grow and allows us to reach even more people with these powerful narratives. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you in the next video for another journey into the heart of human drama and the triumph of the spirit. Goodbye for now, and remember to keep your head held high, no matter what you're wearing.